So, split infinitives. I guess we need to know first, Michael, what an infinitive is. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, that's a good point because if you're going to split something, you need to know what that something is. And so a split infinitive is a form of the verb. I guess is a good way to say it. It's a condition of the basic verb before you do anything with it. The term infinitive, which may not make any sense to anybody when you just talk about it casually, is the same root as infinity, from Latin infinitus. And it means incomplete or unfinished or without limits. And so an infinitive verb is a verb that has yet to be conjugated according to the number of persons, according to the tense, according to the mood, all those things that we do with verbs. So that's what an infinitive is. And
Okay.
pretty much every language has one. There are some that don't. And if they don't, they use some subjunctive mood aspect of their verb system to do some of the same things that an infinitive does.
Okay.
So as you say, it's the kind of seed of verbing in English, and it's made with a preposition to. So to dance, to go, to drink, to speak, to eat, all those things make it a phrasal verb. There are other phrasal verbs, but English, particularly from Middle English on, you have that version. And because it is a verb and tends to go together in other languages, you think you shouldn't split up the to with what comes after it. To split it, then, is to put something between the to and the other part of the
Right,
verb.
and I guess that's what we're getting at, right? I mean, it's not just split infinitives that we want to talk about, but it's this kind of admonition against them. You must not split an infinitive, right? So where does all that come from?
Right, and that's a strange thing because, as you grow up, in grammar school, learning your English grammar and hearing from your elders and your betters, how to speak the language, you learn that you should not split infinitives, just like you shouldn't end the sentence with a preposition and so on like that. And it's not until you dig into the history a little bit that you realize this is not necessarily a native English thing. This had a history itself, and it came up in the 18th century by and large. I guess we back up a little bit and say, when English was really exploding as a language in England in the 14th, 15th, 16th century, there just weren't any rule books for English. English was this other thing that you did. When you did real language, it was Latin or court French.
Sure.
So there was no need for dictionaries, no need for grammars, until later when more and more intellectuals in England and government officials and business people realized English was going to be the language, and they wanted their text to be read for a long time, not just for a couple of weeks. And so they were worried about English just going chaotic, no rules and changing every other month. And so rules began to be made. And that's where this thing really started. So in the 1750s, 1760s or so, lots of literati, intellectuals got together to decide how to shape up English and make it tidy. And one in particular was a bishop in the Church of England by the name of Robert Louth, who published in 1762 a short introduction to English grammar, which became the most influential book on English grammar that there is. And in fact, the ones that are influential on Americans that come from Murray and Webster and so on, those are based upon Louth. And he came up with loads of these rules. Some of them you might guess.
Like double negative probably is there.
Yes, exactly. Double negative is one of these classic thou shalt nots. And you wonder again, is that native to language? No, it's not. It is on analogy with logic or math, that says if you multiply two negatives, you get a positive, or
Sure.
in logic, if you add two negatives, you get a positive. And that's logic and that's math. That's not language. We can say, I don't got no money, and you know what I mean every time I say it.
That guy sounds like a lot of fun, this Bishop Louth. The guy
Yes, he's quite a card. He's sold a lot of books, I'll tell you that. The thing
So we get it, right? It's like the 18th century imposes all these rules or suggests all these rules. Like, what's the sense today? Where are linguists at with these kinds of rules today?
Well, it's interesting to look at it today. And the first thing you realize, though, I'll just give a little, defend old Bishop Louth a little bit. He wasn't the one who came up with that split infinitive rule. It came later, but it was out of that same sentiment, that same sort of sense that we have to tidy everything up. So today, I mean, most linguists, grammarians, in that modern sense of the word, who really study the language scientifically, realize there's absolutely no basis whatsoever in language to have a thou shalt not split an infinitive. You can definitely do that. The verb doesn't die. People don't die. Things move along just fine.
Sure.
And in fact, you can have a clearer sentence with a split infinitive than one without. I was thinking about that and jotted one down here just as an example.
Okay.
So you could have a sentence like, she told him discreetly to ask their mother about her finances. Okay, that's no split infinitive. She told him discreetly to ask their mother about.
So to ask is the infinitive there. To
right,
ask.
And to ask is the infinitive, exactly.
Okay.
If you split the infinitive, you would say, she told him to discreetly ask their mother about her finances. Well, when you look at the two sentences side by side, you realize, okay, the second one is actually clearer. I know precisely that you're asking me to be discreet when I go talk to mom.
Right.
Whereas in the first one, it could be that, or it could be she told him in a discreet fashion.
Sure. But actually, there are points at which splitting the infinitive can make for a clearer sentence.
Can make for a clearer sentence because it's the word order that matters so much in English. We don't have as many inflections. We don't change the endings as much in order to indicate meaning. So word order is important. And when you want that word, that verb, to be modified very carefully, you might want that adverb to be right there by it. So to discreetly ask makes a little better sense than discreetly to ask. And you can also put the adverb afterwards, which might make it clearer too, to ask discreetly.
Sure. That sounds funky to me, though. That just sounds weird.
It sounds weird. Yeah, and in English, we don't like to have our modifiers after the thing they modify.
Sure.
Other languages do, but we tend to put it before.
And can you imagine Star Trek without a split infinitive?
There you go. I mean,
there's only one way to say it: to boldly go. Right? You cannot say
boldly go, not to boldly to go. No, we want boldly go. You don't want that little to to get in the way.
Well, maybe with that we should boldly go.
I think we should boldly.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.